now, two men enter. In a short time, two men will go to lunch. One side, Trace Ballou, and the other side, Bill Corbin.
Oh, hi, Trace.
Hello, Bill. Hey, I just noticed on the way in, not only is there a really authentic Dr. Forrester over there, but there's a really incredibly great costume of TV's Frank right here. Stand up, sir.
Astounding.
It really is good. As you can see, we actually do have a Crow T robot here. Well, we have actually two Crow T robots, but we actually have one of the Crow T robot puppets that was constructed for this, specially by Mr. Trace Ballou. But we didn't know that we would actually have a crow here. So how many of you are familiar with a lot of the bot replicas that are available online? Well, not knowing that Trace would be able to do a crow, I actually went ahead and purchased one of these bot replicas.
You could have saved me some time, Ken.
I could, and about $600. So just to bookend things, Bill will reveal the one that we bought for the panel.
All right, it's the one I made. I suck at puppet making.
I think they looked identical.
You are out of your tiny mind.
So I guess we should start chronologically. Can you tell me about when Crow? Well, you chose Crow.
I kind of feel that Crow chose me, really. There was a pile of plastic, not unlike that, on the floor, and Joel sent Josh and I over to pick up these things. I still didn't have any idea what we were doing. Joel said, "Hey, I'm doing a TV show. Why don't you come over?" And then we got some puppets, and okay. And I picked up a pile of plastic, and it was Crow. At that point, Crow was a bit like puppeteering a carpenter square. It was very rigid and top-heavy, and it just got more unwieldy as time went on.
So obviously, it being that unwieldy, when you got the pickup for season 1 at the Comedy Channel, not was it your decision that it needed to be redesigned?
Well, Joel and I talked about it, and we agreed that the eyes should move. In the early one, they're just like hot glued into that soap dish thing. And so we thought, oh, hey, let's make the eyes move. And it just got more complicated after that, because then we had to recreate the soap dish to put the eyes inside of them and make a deal to move them up and down and back and forth. And I also wanted to give him a little bit more mass in body. It was just this top bit before, and that just snowballed all this other crap that we stuck to him. So the swing arm lamp. So and Servo got that treatment too. He got a little more refined, as it were.
But you were hands-on and actually doing the engineering.
I did a lot of it, yeah. Joel and I worked pretty close together, and he picked out this color scheme. He went and got, I don't remember the brand name, but I'm sure you do, of this paint, and the red and the purple for Gypsy, so that there was a nice balance of those three colors. And so it was a collaboration. It was very collaborative.
And then we also saw a clip of the pre-season 1, I would assume the run-up to season 1, with a videographer shooting video asking about if the arms work.
Yes. At that point, we thought that we would get more articulation with these things. We even had the arms on rods like the Muppets, and that was vetoed right away, saying, well, you can see the rod. It's like, yeah. But we never, like Servo's arms never worked, and I think we just kind of kept playing off that charm that, yeah, they're a pile of junk. The arms would never work.
So now, how awkward was it, even after the redesign, to actually puppeteer?
Well, he's pretty top heavy. This thing's really heavy, and so I don't know how you were doing it, Bill. Did you rest him on the table? That's what I wound up doing.
Whenever I could.
Yeah, because it's I don't know if you see Bill's forearms, but we both have these Popeye-like arm muscles.
The crow workout.
Yeah. So it was heavy. It's really, if you've built these yourself, you know that most of the weight is up on top of this thing. So it's, I'd like to say it was hard.
Would you like to say it was hard?
I would too, but I'm not sure I can honestly say it was. It was a great deal of fun.
So what were the difficulties then, besides the top heavy, as far as the operation? Since, it's not a simple puppeteering mechanism as far as articulation.
I think that it just kept falling apart all the time. It's all hot glue and not very well. I mean, nothing will stick to this plastic, so it would continually fall apart, as you'd see.
So what do you, now in each of your views, what was the most difficult thing to articulate? Would it have been mouth movements, eye movements? What would have been the bugaboo that got to you?
Making it all work together, I think, is the short answer to that. Yeah, and just giving him some life in general, and having him take in what's around the room and respond like a living little plastic guy.
You always had to kind of, we watched on monitors, so we knew what the puppets were doing, and it was always, you're always trying to make the eyes look at the thing, so it looks like they're paying attention, and often they would drift off or fall out. And
Often, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you're always trying to move them to give them a little bit of more, personality and liveliness.
Did you ever look over at Kevin and think he had it easy?
All the time.
Oh, God, yes. Bastard.
Did Kevin know he had it easy?
Not enough
Yeah.
for my taste.
Do you think you made the wrong choice at the beginning?
No. I really enjoyed working Crow and working on him all the time. It was sort of like our personal instrument that we'd always maintain. And paint them if they got scratched, and we got very possessive of them. And
This is your robot.
yes, this is my friend. I did take him home once, and that was really creepy. They don't belong at home. It's just really, it was like, what's the Anthony Hopkins movie?
Trace.
Yeah. It's like, stop talking to me.
Feed me.
I get farther away in the room, and he's still watching me.
And you both mutually do not have them in your respective homes. It's not like you took crows home after the show.
Did you take a crow?
Only once, and that was when I got the job. They because of the Best Brains forward planning that was very typical of Best Brains. I got the job on a Thursday or a Friday. I don't think I'm exaggerating, and we started filming Monday. So I said, "Can I have the puppet for a couple of days just to play with him and see if I can make him work?" And they gave me a version. I think it was
Did
the,
you-
it
you had to
was the
leave
loner crow.
You had to leave a deposit, right?
A shoe.
Yeah.
My salary.
Which was a shoe.
Scared the hell out of my dog, I have to say.
These things should not be in your home. They
No,
just are
no.
little. I think even like a ventriloquist would keep their dolls. And now I'm offending ventriloquists because
Vent figure, Trace.
Oh, that's right.
Very, very specific.
Sorry.
So from a character perspective then, how did you approach, because obviously you can see from the clips that the character developed quite a bit over those first few seasons.
I think the personalities of both Crow and Servo in those early days were both Josh and me, just goofing around. And I'm not skilled enough as an actor to have actually gotten some direction off a page and went, oh, I see Crow's like this. I think if I did this, I could. They were us and our personalities coming through. And then as the writing progressed and we were given more to do and their personalities expanded more and more. That's my short answer.
And you had a difficult challenge of actually having then to inhabit what Trace had developed all those years. So how did you then approach going into what was an established character at that point?
Well, I mean, I didn't really know. I had no roadmap on how to do that. I loved Trace's Crow. I loved the whole show before I got on it, so I didn't want to mess it up. Was my one mission was to not bring the show down in quality. And I have to say, for the first couple of shows I was on it on the Sci-Fi Channel, it was rough going because Crow like had a stroke or something. I'm such a terrible puppeteer. I was wondering how to pitch the voice. I didn't really want to imitate Trace, but you know, I will say that Mike and Kevin kind of just said, do what you need to do to make him funny, and that freed me up. And I think luckily, my voice kind of fit in the same pitch range as Trace's. And I think the show has always had a good mix of voices with Joel and Josh and Mike and all. You know, the three guys have always had distinct voices in any incarnation.
So how would you say, and how long would you say that it take before things became comfortable for you?
Never did, really, but
Are things comfortable now?
I think no. I'm scared. I think mid-season 8, I started to feel like, well, the puppet has a little bit of life finally. Yeah.
And would you say that you were comfortable pretty soon, or how long do you think it took you before it was sort of second nature?
Well, the first puppet was really a stick with plastic glued to it, so it really didn't have a lot of articulation, and it really looks like, you know, Crow went through the windshield during the accident. But then, you know, I don't think I was ever satisfied. You know, you look at a take and you go, oh, gee, I could have done that better, and but it's his fault. So yeah.
And how many takes were ruined because of bot malfunctions?
A lot. Quite a few.
More often on the Crow side than the Tom side?
His arms would fall out. He's got so many stupid parts. His arms fall off, his eyes come out, the basket falls off. I made a version that would travel, and so all of this stuff, you know, snaps off, so you can, you know, take it anywhere. I've killed him. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. He's all right. You're okay. You're okay. Merely demonstrating. Not real.
They don't know that.
You can take that one apart if you'd like, Bill.
I think I'd just blow on it. That'd probably do it. The travel Crow was interesting going through security, wasn't it? What the hell is that? He looks like a pipe bomb disassembled.
Yeah. I used to carry him in a garment bag. And I brought him home that time that he creeped me out. We were doing, so I think the movie premiere or something, and we were supposed to be dignified and get out of a limo holding a puppet. And it's like, so I brought him home to put him in a tuxedo, and it's like, he just kept looking at me. And it's like, oh man. So I put him in a garment bag, and those, I don't know if you know those. Yeah. Those little garment bags have a little window so you can see your tuxedos in it. And I put him in, and he slid up to that little window, and he's looking out. Ah. I have a picture on it. I'll put that up for you, because I had to take a picture. It freaked me out so much. It's like, hi! I'm in your life forever.
Perhaps it's best you didn't take it home anymore.
No. And I took a part, I think, when I left, just as for memory. This was made for the Rhino shoot that we did, that 10.2,
I think.
10.2, right, the Rhino fix. So I got some of these parts from fans. This thing was made and molded, and some of these other parts from fans who'd come up to us at conventions and go, here, you need this. And they were right.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking about, out of curiosity, about the things that people get wrong on bot replicas. So what are the things that you most often see that isn't quite right?
Well, you know, it's all of this stuff, the Tupperware and the bowling pin. The bowling pin's very controversial. You have to have the E bowling pin. Yeah. I don't know what company that is, but you do. And you have to have the right mask, the lacrosse mask, and the soap dish. You have to have that. And then the fine points, the PVC tubing, it's not PVC tubing, I'm sorry. It's CPVC. those plumbers in the audience are going, hilarious. But, these things changed over time. They were, they got made, they got destroyed, they got sold off, they got left at Planet Hollywoods across the country. So,
Is there one at the Smithsonian? There should be.
is there one at the Smithsonian?
I'd like to believe so.
We're sending that
Yeah.
one.
All right.
Well, not in the form it's in. There is a bowling pin at the Smithsonian and ping pong balls and probably a soap dish,
On
but they're all
separate wings.
yeah.
So, the decision to leave the show, was it difficult for you?
Not really. Well, it was difficult to give up two characters that I'd really become quite fond of playing. So that was difficult. But it wasn't, aside from that, aside from losing a paycheck, which is a regular weekly thing, it wasn't difficult. So two characters that I'm really fond of, a paycheck that was nice, a place to go every day, it was kind of difficult, yeah, now that you mention it.
Besides those things.
It was time to leave. I wanted to try different things, like living alone in a crappy apartment without a job, and I got to do that.
You have to do that once in your life,
Yeah.
don't you?
I wanted to be unemployed for several years, and I got to do that. Click that off the list.
Bucket list.
Yeah. I never got my bucket, though.
Sold on eBay.
You just would have made a puppet of it, Trace. Come on.
Yes. I'm bucket.
It's not the same.
Back to your room, Mr. Blue. I'm a puppet.
I mean, was it awkward for you? It's okay. You okay?
Should I do the Carol Burnett show?
Was it awkward for you because you were formally introduced as the new Crow at the second convention?
Not true.
You know what? I'm absolutely wrong. You were introduced as joining
Get
the
off
show.
the stage. Yeah, I was just the new writer guy at that point. And like I said before, they really hadn't made a decision, and it was, kind of tick-tock at that point. And I think the sort of horrible decision to make was get a new puppet, which would have been tough for a lot of Misties, or get a new guy to replace Trace, which was also tough. So there was no really great choice there. But
And it was an audition process.
yeah.
Who else auditioned?
A lot of local Minneapolis actors did. A couple of people from staff. They couldn't have worked the puppet worse than I did. I mean, I don't know. It wasn't the puppeteering stuff that got me the job.
Was that on camera? Does that exist somewhere? All those audition tapes?
I don't know. I'm sure Jim will sell it someday to somebody. If it is.
If you all write in and ask or offer money. So would you say that, was that even an awkward situation being at the con? I mean, everyone knew it was sort of your big farewell. But you didn't know what was coming, so.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I was just happy to have a job writing. So I actually didn't know a thing at that point.
And you
Neither did anybody else, by the way.
And you just had your plane tickets booked and were ready to go.
Yeah. They, when I'd left, we didn't know that Sci-Fi was going to pick the show up. So I'd left way before any of that stuff. And then they asked me to come back to the convention. I said, I am far too busy. Let me check my Rolodex. I don't have one. So it was a little awkward because, you're already out,
Had you already moved to LA then?
No, I'd moved to my crappy apartment. Which was like LA. It was really like.
You were just getting ready.
Yeah.
The transition out, was it difficult for you when things started ramping up? Or was it a natural end, did you feel, when it ended?
I would have loved another year or two, but that happens. And Sci-Fi was a little weird. I mean, they never quite understood us, I suspect, the way that Comedy Central did, because we were first and foremost a comedy show, not sci-fi. And they were always kind of trying to turn the knobs to get a little more sci-fi in there, and it was just sort of a losing battle. So it didn't surprise any of us by that time. I think we got notes on the writing probably for the first time in the history of the show. And it was odd because they didn't really have much to say. The show had been around so long and had done so well on its own that they were kind of giving us versions of, if you ever seen the Itchy and Scratchy and Poochie show on the, just get edgier. Could you be a little edgier? And it's like, well, what does that mean? Do you want us to do more fart jokes, or do you want us to say poopy? Or they didn't really have an answer for that. And I think the real answer was, could you be a little more like South Park and make that kind of money for us? So.
Do you have any moment that defines either the character or your time on the show that you can even remember at this point?
I don't remember much of it because, you know, you do it and you put it on tape and you go home and see, when our show, when the Comedy Central show was airing, it was Sunday night and it was against Star Trek Next Generation. So I had to watch that because I hadn't seen it. And I had seen this stuff. So I don't remember a lot of it. You know, not the Crow stuff too, but especially like Frank and I were working on these bizarre sketches, and my wife will be watching these, and I go, "There's Frank and I were dressed as pirates. When did we do that?" So it all kind of downloaded and went away.
So are there any moments there that actually sparked anything? Or does it spark moments outside the show?
The spark moment, whenever Crow would catch on fire, I really like
Literal spark.
Yeah. I like fire.
And Bill, for you?
Probably, I mean, the turkey volume guessing man thing, and there's another one that I remember that wasn't here, where Crow thinks, it's in Space Mutiny, where Crow thinks he's a Balerian. And it was just his uncertainty about his identity and his ability to absorb whatever he had just seen, you know, which was true of both of the bots, actually. But
You know, there was one that I remember that you did, Crow makes a mile-high pie.
Oh, yeah.
What was that?
I don't remember. I remember the visual.
I
but
remember
don't
it, and
the
he
joke.
doesn't.
I know, it's sad.
How often would you dip back into the show after you left?
Not really much at all. I didn't have any tapes. I didn't have any DVDs. I left with, you know, a hickory stick with a little kerchief and a sandwich in it.
Your bindle.
Yes, my bindle.
Can of pork and beans.
I dreamed of pork and beans. But no, I didn't take any memories or any memorabilia with me at all, and I wish I had.
Did you? Or was it all sold on eBay?
No, I think
before you got
Patrick,
it?
pretty much. Actually, they tried to sell my own couch that was at Best Brains. Everything was just tagged. It was like this must go sale when the office was. So my personal possessions were tagged to be sold on eBay before I got out of there. I think Patrick Brancic, who was one of the succession of really brilliant designers, we should mention him, and Bees McKeever and Jeff Maynard they were so instrumental in making the show work because they really built all this stuff along with Trace and Joel and the guys. But he gave me a little model Crow that we used. We had a little Shadorama thing, or a little diorama thing, where the bots were telling Mike about their pain after watching the Gumby short, because Gumby killed robots, and they were, you know, telling him how they suffered watching that.
And where is that? What place of honor does that hold in the house?
A
drawer of honor?
Yeah, pretty much a back drawer of honor.
I'm glad you mentioned those guys, Patrick and Bees and Jeff, because when we would write a sketch, and I'm sure it was true with you guys too, that you could just write anything. You know, yeah. Crow comes in a hovercraft or whatever you would do it, and they would build it. And
yeah, they put in more hours, I think, certainly when I was there, than any of us. And they did a great job and never complained. So.
Yeah, it made some great stuff, and really spoiled me, you know, going out and working on real shows where you can't get a prop made. You know, it's got to go through so many channels, and executives have to approve it, and you come back and it's a piece of crap. You know, but those guys are brilliant, really.
Well, we gave them an additional burden of having to make, for a while, when the Sci-Fi Channel wanted us to travel. You know, around, they had to make new sets every couple of weeks, which was just beyond the pale in terms of labor, but they did it. So.
We're going to ask our first question.
I was curious, from the first time you looked at the group of plastic to put Crow together, how many versions of Crow have there been?
Well, there was the KTMA one, and then there was the primary one that we used for quite a long time, season 1 on. And then, because, a part would get replaced and then another one built. And then once we hit the movie, there were like 3 or 4 made. And then to promote it, there was a bunch that Jeff Maynard built for the Planet Hollywoods. I don't know if you ever went to a Planet Hollywood, but they kind of build it as these are actual props from the actual movies. But if you go to them, there's like a frozen naked Sylvester Stallone at every Planet Hollywood, and you didn't build that many.
They named a dish after it, didn't they?
Yes, it had a chicken nugget in there that I remember. But there were like maybe half a dozen crows made for that promotion thing, and I don't know how many after, just probably.
Yeah, it's hard to know what makes a discrete crow with all the parts and part replacements and things that were on fire for a while.
Yeah.
Well, you were mentioning to me before that there was always a go-to, a comfortable crow that you had. Mm-hmm. Now, how long did that comfortable crow last?
Throughout my tenure there was a one that I would go back to. Like your favorite mitt. It's all rosined up and soft. And that might be a good analogy, but I've said it, so.
Your soft rosined crow is what you're saying.
Yes, that's the one I'd pick.
Next question.
Thanks for coming out, guys. What is the one crow line that you find people quote back to you when you're out and about and they realize that you're a voice of Crow?
Trace?
What does your shirt say? What's the line on your shirt?
You know you want me, baby.
That's one. The other one is bite me. Get that a lot. People don't even know that I did crow and will say that to me.
Or dickweed.
Yes. It's a long list.
Yeah, those are the two. And, obviously the You Know You Want Me, Baby was a self-conscious, thing, but people still use it. But Bite Me is the nice clipped one, and I never know whether I'm getting it as a layman's use of it or a show tribute use.
Trace, you talked earlier about when you built the Crow, and you listed some very specific parts that you used. I know the fans have done a lot of research, but have you ever released like a recipe, like an official build list?
I think there was a bot builder's handbook that was out. I didn't have anything to do with it, so I don't know if the parts are accurate. But it kind of astounds me that people are recreating these parts that we just found in junk stores. It's now like these are a precious commodity, and it's like that should never happen. You should make your own thing out of crap you find.
And look what it gets you.
Never mind.
My question is about the selection process for the movies. I guess this would apply to Frank as well. I know he was involved with that, but was there ever one that got away? I mean, we're kind of alluding to Billy Jack a little bit. Was there ever one that was just the perfect movie that just couldn't get the rights to?
Frank, you want to answer that one?
Special guest star Frank Conniff.
Thank you. I gotta come back here, right, to talk. In episode 623, you had like the thing in there, and then he did that. What was that about?
Sign a release, sir.
Trace, what was that about?
That was a personal message to you, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I've been arguing about it online for 20 years now. As far as the movie goes, I think we talked about it yesterday that the one I'll mention is we really wanted to do moment by moment with Lily Tomlin and John Travolta, and we thought we had the rights to it. And we didn't. And the other one that I forgot about that I remember that was, remember Charo with Elvis Presley? Someone faked us out and we got it in a bunch of tapes and we watched it and we were really thrilled about it. That was I don't know if you've ever seen it, it's a Western with Elvis Presley. And I remember when we were watching, I remember one of Trace's lines, this woman, and she goes, "Do I smell Elvis?" But that was another one that we're going to get the rights, and then we didn't get it. So there were a couple of those. Thank you.
Frank Connor.
I was just wondering, what is Crow's middle name?
I've heard Tiberius. Are there any other theories?
T.
T.
We left it kind of ambiguous, and I think people have been filling that blank in.
Okay.
You can go onto an online forum and duke it out about that issue, I'm sure.
I'd rather not. But also, where did Crow get his name?
Oh, well, as these things are thought out very thoroughly, and the Bible of the show is very well researched and nailed down, we backfilled his name. I think it was in the KTMA. It's robotically operated woman. Yeah, how did we do that? How did we do that? Yeah, something. Yeah, cybernetic, robotically operated woman. Something like that. It's not Star Trek, my friend.
It just had to be a name.
It wasn't Tom Servo at first, it was Beeper.
Yes. Josh filled in the Tom part. Yeah.
Deciding he wanted to do something besides a beep.
Yes. Well, the robot started out very hard to operate because Beeper had a very high voice that was very difficult to work in any other situation. And Crow had a very staccato, and Joel wanted him to respond to everything, "Yes, Joel Hudson. Yes, Joel Hudson," which kind of limits you as a range that you can go to. And then when we started riffing, you want to throw in other voices and stuff. And so it just sort of, we moved out of that very narrow area so that we could be a little more relaxed and ourselves as comics.
Our last question.
Oh, I am. I had so much I wanted to ask, I couldn't even narrow it down to one. So I just wanted to say, I'm a puppeteer myself, and I just wanted to say how great it is that another popular show was able to have puppets on it and not be just a little kid's show. Because I've had just heated arguments with people over puppets are not just for children. Puppets can be enjoyed by, all ages, and especially adult puppetry, is really,
How adult are you talking here?
Well,
How adult would you want it to be, Bill?
maybe kind of in the
That's
middle
for the
here.
blue section of this DVD.
Crow After Dark.
You should do it.
Do you take your puppet home?
You should try it.
Put it in a garment bag.
I never considered myself a puppeteer. I went in really not wanting to do cute robots because I thought Disney had that corner of the market sewn up. But I never really considered myself a puppeteer. I didn't go in and say, "I'm the best you'll find."
However much Trace was not a puppeteer, I was considerably less. So calibrate accordingly.
So now they fight.
Oh no! Getting my weapons ready? No.
So, a big round of applause
Thanks, everybody.
for Trace Ballou and Bill Corbett and Crow T Robot and not. Thank you very much for coming out.